Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with this. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing, not because you're hiding something, but because mystery is magnetic. The moment you reveal everything about yourself to someone too soon, you hand them the keys to your emotional kingdom without even knowing if they deserve it. Mystery is magnetic because it creates an atmosphere of curiosity and intrigue, drawing people toward you without you having to constantly chase their attention. In relationships and human connection, what is left unsaid often has more impact than what is openly declared. When you choose yourself, you naturally set boundaries around how much of your life, your thoughts, and your feelings you share. This choice is not about being secretive for the sake of manipulation, but about valuing your own story enough to reveal it only to those who have earned the right to hear it. Choosing yourself means understanding that your worth is not determined by how much you give away, but by how intentionally you give it. When you embody this, mystery becomes part of your presence. You stop feeling the need to fill every silence with information about yourself. You allow the other person to wonder, to observe, and to slowly discover layers of who you are. That slow unveiling builds deeper appreciation, because what is rare and gradual feels more valuable than what is given all at once. People tend to respect and cherish what they have to work to understand. Choosing yourself reinforces this principle because you are making a conscious decision to prioritize your emotional safety and energy over the urge to overshare for quick validation. Mystery does not mean pretending to be someone you are not or hiding your authenticity. Instead, it means being intentional about timing and context. You can be open, hearted, and warm while still reserving parts of your life until you feel the foundation of trust is strong enough. When you choose yourself, you reject the idea that connection requires instant access to every detail of your life. You accept that not everyone deserves to know you deeply, and that letting someone earn that knowledge builds mutual respect. In a dating or relational context, this creates a powerful shift. Many people overshare early on because they want to bond quickly, thinking transparency will build trust faster. In reality, dumping your entire life story too soon can overwhelm the other person or even lead them to make snap judgments before they have truly experienced who you are. By keeping certain things private at first, you invite them into a natural discovery process, which keeps the connection fresh and engaging. Choosing yourself in this way is a form of emotional self-control, and that self-control is often read as confidence. Mystery also gives you the freedom to evolve without pressure. When you have not promised every detail of your life to another person, you leave space to change your mind, grow, and shift directions without feeling trapped by past disclosures. This flexibility is empowering because it means you can adapt based on your own needs, not because of external expectations. Choosing yourself means giving yourself that room to breathe. It protects your energy from being drained by people who have not yet proven that they will honor your vulnerabilities. Psychologically, humans are wired to be intrigued by what they cannot fully grasp. This is why a bit of mystery draws people in. It creates a mental gap they naturally want to close. The moment you choose yourself and live from a place of quiet confidence, you become someone others want to learn more about. They sense there is more beneath the surface, and that sense becomes a pull toward you. The right people will be willing to put in the time and effort to know you, and the wrong people will fall away when they realize access to you is not automatic. Mystery is not about playing games, but about practicing discernment. You can still be warm, kind, and expressive while keeping certain areas of your life reserved for later. This is where choosing yourself overlaps perfectly with the concept of magnetic mystery. You are saying to the world, my story is valuable, and I will share it in my time, not under pressure. That decision keeps your relationships balanced, with mutual investment rather than one-sided overexposure. When you choose yourself, you also send the message that your happiness and peace are not dependent on how quickly someone gets to know everything about you. You are comfortable letting the connection build gradually because you are secure within yourself. This quiet self-assurance is what makes mystery so compelling. It is rooted in the confidence that you are enough without constant explanation. The less you rush to be understood, the more space there is for someone to truly experience you. Protecting your insecurities when you choose yourself means recognizing that your vulnerabilities are not flaws to be exposed to anyone who shows interest, but precious parts of you that require care and trust before they are shared. Insecurities are deeply personal and often tied to experiences, fears, and beliefs that have been shaped over years. When you choose yourself, you understand that revealing them prematurely can give the wrong people power over you, or allow them to view you through a distorted lens. Choosing yourself means valuing your emotional well-being over the temporary relief of spilling everything just to feel understood in the moment. When insecurities are placed in the wrong hands, they can be unintentionally or deliberately used against you. A careless comment, a dismissive reaction, or even subtle judgment can deepen the wounds you are already trying to heal. By protecting them, you maintain control over your emotional narrative and only share it with those who have demonstrated empathy, respect, and consistency. Choosing yourself in this way builds a stronger foundation of trust, ensuring that when you do open up, it is to someone who will respond with compassion instead of criticism. This is not about hiding your true self or pretending to be perfect. It is about timing and discernment. You can be authentic without being completely transparent immediately. Choosing yourself means you give others small pieces of who you are over time, allowing them to earn the right to see the more fragile parts. This gradual revealing not only safeguards your heart, but also gives you a chance to see how they handle smaller truths before trusting them with your deepest concerns. Protecting your insecurities also strengthens your inner confidence. When you keep them close until the right moment, you are affirming to yourself that you do not need anyone's immediate approval to feel okay. You are not relying on someone else to fix, validate, or erase your fears. Instead, you are choosing to manage them from a place of self-awareness and strength. This mindset prevents you from entering relationships in a position of emotional dependency, which can easily lead to imbalance or power struggles. In romantic relationships, oversharing insecurities too soon can change the dynamic before a strong bond is even formed. For example, if you constantly talk about how unattractive you feel or how you fear abandonment, it may unintentionally put pressure on the other person to reassure you endlessly, which can create a caretaker role rather than a partnership of equals. By choosing yourself, you give the relationship a chance to develop naturally without making your insecurities the center of its foundation. Another reason protecting insecurities is important is because perception matters. First impressions can be powerful, and when you lead with your strengths and positive qualities, people are more likely to see you as capable, confident, and resilient. This does not mean you are being fake. It simply means you are allowing them to experience the best of you first, so that when they eventually learn about your vulnerabilities, they already see you as a whole and valuable person. Choosing yourself also allows you to work on your insecurities privately, without external pressure or judgment. This can mean seeking therapy, journaling, practicing self-compassion, or surrounding yourself with supportive friends who encourage your growth. When you handle insecurities in safe environments first, you develop healthier coping mechanisms, which makes it easier to share them later in a way that feels empowering rather than desperate. It is also important to remember that not everyone needs to know every detail about your struggles. Some people may be kind but lack the emotional capacity to truly support you. By protecting your insecurities, you filter out who is genuinely safe to open up to. This keeps your inner world from being a public display and helps you maintain your dignity even in moments of vulnerability. When you choose yourself in this way, you shift the power dynamic of your relationships. You are no longer placing your sense of worth in someone else's hands by saying, "Here are all my weak spots. Please handle them with care." Instead, You are saying, I know who I am working on myself, and I will share more of me when you've shown that you can be trusted with it. This energy not only protects you, but often attracts people who value and respect boundaries. By protecting your insecurities, you create a safe internal space where your self-esteem can grow. You learn to affirm yourself before seeking affirmation from others. You keep your heart guarded without closing it off completely. You choose to let trust be built gradually, and in doing so, you ensure that your vulnerabilities are met with understanding, kindness, and loyalty when the time comes to share them. Limiting details about past relationships when you choose yourself means understanding that your history with others is a part of you. But it is not something that should be placed in the hands of someone new without careful thought. Past relationships often carry emotions, memories, and wounds that, if shared too soon or in too much detail, can shift the focus of a present connection away from what is being built now. Choosing yourself in this context is about protecting your present energy and not allowing old stories to overshadow the possibility of something new. When you choose yourself, you acknowledge that the past shaped you, but does not define you entirely. Sharing every detail, how long you were together, the reasons for breakups, every betrayal or mistake, can unintentionally bring unnecessary comparisons or insecurities into the new relationship. It can also invite judgment based on moments that no longer reflect who you are today. Limiting what you reveal allows the other person to know you for who you are now, rather than viewing you through the lens of your former connections. Choosing yourself also means recognizing the difference between honesty and overexposure. There is nothing wrong with acknowledging that you have a dating history or that certain lessons came from it, but offering a detailed play to someone who has not yet earned deep trust gives away too much too early. This can create an unbalanced dynamic where the other person feels they know more than they should, or where they unconsciously compare themselves to someone from your past. Protecting those details helps maintain emotional neutrality in the early stages of a relationship. There is also a deeper psychological aspect. People naturally form narratives when they hear about someone's past, even if they do not mean to. They may start to look for similarities between themselves and your ex or worry about making the same mistakes that were made before. If the story involves betrayal, neglect, or heartbreak, it can make them feel pressured to fix what someone else broke. This pressure can shift the dynamic into one of rescuing instead of partnering, which is not the foundation of a healthy relationship. Choosing yourself means avoiding this trap by setting boundaries on what you share until there is a stable emotional base between you. Another reason to limit details about past relationships is to keep your emotional focus on the present. Reliving old experiences through storytelling can unintentionally keep you emotionally tied to them, especially if they were painful or deeply significant. When you choose yourself, you prioritize living in the moment and creating new memories rather than continuously revisiting what has already passed. By doing so, you give the new relationship the chance to develop without the weight of what came before. Limiting these details is also a sign of emotional maturity and self-respect. It shows that you have processed your past privately and are not carrying it into every new connection as baggage to unload. It communicates that while you acknowledge your history, you are not defined by it, and you are capable of starting fresh without projecting old patterns. This sends a powerful message to the other person that you value the present relationship enough to protect it from unnecessary interference. When you choose yourself in this way, you are also protecting the dignity of people from your past. Regardless of how things ended, sharing intimate details about someone else's mistakes or vulnerabilities can feel like a breach of trust. By keeping those parts of your history private, you demonstrate integrity and respect, qualities that will likely be noticed and appreciated by the person you are currently with. It is important to remember that timing matters. There may be moments in a mature relationship when certain details from the past are relevant or even necessary to share. perhaps to explain a personal boundary or a learned lesson. But choosing yourself means you will wait for the right moment, when the bond is strong enough to hold that information without it causing harm. You share intentionally, not impulsively, and only when the purpose is to build understanding rather than to fill silence or satisfy curiosity. In practice, this approach keeps your personal story balanced. The new person in your life gets to experience your personality, values, and present ambitions before hearing about your past. They connect with you for who you are now rather than forming opinions through the filter of someone else's role in your life. Over time, as trust grows, you can reveal more, but it will be in a way that strengthens the connection rather than risks it. By limiting the details about past relationships, you protect your emotional space, maintain control over your narrative, and create a healthier foundation for the relationship you are choosing to build. Keeping financial matters private when you choose yourself means understanding that your economic situation, whether it is one of abundance, struggle, or stability, is deeply personal and should not be disclosed too soon in a relationship. Money carries emotional weight and can heavily influence how people perceive and treat you. When you choose yourself, you prioritize being valued for your character, personality, and compatibility rather than for the size of your bank account, your debts, or your income. By setting boundaries around financial disclosure, you protect both your dignity and the authenticity of your relationships. Choosing yourself in this way requires recognizing that money is a form of power and influence in human interactions. When you reveal too much too soon, such as exact salary figures, the amount in your savings, or details about assets and debts, you give someone the opportunity to see you through a financial lens rather than an emotional one. This can lead to assumptions, expectations, or judgments that may not reflect your true worth as a person. By keeping these matters private, you allow connections to form based on mutual respect and emotional compatibility, not financial status. There is also the risk of altering the dynamics of a relationship when financial information is shared prematurely. If you are financially well off and disclose this early, it can unintentionally attract people who are more interested in what you can provide than in who you are. On the other hand, if you are struggling financially, revealing this too soon can cause someone to make unfair assumptions about your ambition, stability, or capability. Choosing yourself means allowing people to know your values, work ethic, and vision for life before they learn the details of your financial position. Keeping financial matters private also protects you from potential manipulation or pressure. When someone knows your financial situation, they might consciously or unconsciously adjust their behavior toward you, either expecting you to provide more, contribute differently, or fit into a financial role they have imagined. This is especially true in relationships where traditional gender roles, lifestyle expectations, or spending habits differ. By controlling when and how this information is shared, you ensure that financial discussions happen in a context of mutual trust and shared commitment, rather than in the vulnerable early stages of connection. Another important aspect of choosing yourself is maintaining financial independence. By not making your money situation a focal point early on, you remind yourself that your finances are yours to manage, and you do not need validation or assistance from someone else to feel secure. This mindset encourages healthy boundaries around spending, saving, and investing. It also prevents the unhealthy dynamic where one partner begins to make financial decisions on behalf of the other without a strong foundation of trust and communication. Privacy around finances is not about secrecy for the sake of hiding. It is about intentional disclosure at the right time. Relationships progress through stages, and financial conversations should match the level of commitment and trust present in the relationship. For example, discussions about shared expenses, budgets, or long-term financial planning become relevant when a couple is moving towards serious partnership. Until that point, Broad statements about financial philosophy and spending habits are more than enough. This allows the relationship to develop naturally while keeping sensitive numbers and details secure. Protecting your financial privacy also means valuing yourself enough to avoid letting money define your self-worth. When you choose yourself, you are saying that your value is based on who you are, not on your income or possessions. This is especially important because financial circumstances can change. A person who values you for your bank balance may disappear when that number changes, while someone who values you for your integrity and character will remain, regardless of financial fluctuations. There is also a practical safety element to keeping financial matters private. Sharing too much information too early can make you vulnerable to exploitation, theft, or fraud, especially in cases where someone's intentions are not genuine. By withholding these details until trust is established, you minimize the risk of being taken advantage of. This is not cynicism. It is self-protection rooted in self-respect. When you choose yourself by keeping financial matters private, you set a standard that your relationships will be built on more than material considerations. You give yourself the space to be evaluated for your kindness, ambition, and values before anyone knows the specifics of your resources. This approach encourages genuine connection, protects your personal security, and ensures that financial conversations happen from a place of mutual respect and trust rather than curiosity, judgment, or opportunism. Guarding your family's personal issues when you choose yourself means recognizing that the private matters of those closest to you are not yours to share freely, especially with someone who has not yet earned a deep level of trust in your life. Family dynamics often carry a mix of history, emotions, and sensitive situations that can easily be misunderstood or misjudged when shared with outsiders. Choosing yourself in this context means protecting the dignity, privacy, and trust of your family while also safeguarding your own emotional well-being from unnecessary complications. When you choose yourself, you understand that family issues are often layered and complex. Outsiders, no matter how well-intentioned, will not have the full context of the relationships, cultural background, or personal history that shape these situations. Sharing too much too soon can lead to misinterpretations or snap judgments about you or your loved ones. Guarding these matters ensures that the person you are getting to know forms their opinion of you based on who you are, not based on second-hand accounts of family struggles. This form of discretion also shows maturity and emotional intelligence. By keeping sensitive family matters private, you communicate that you respect boundaries and understand that not every part of your life is open for public consumption. Even if a family situation has had a major impact on your life, choosing yourself means deciding when and how to discuss it, ensuring that the conversation happens in a context of trust, empathy, and emotional safety. Another reason to guard family issues is to protect relationships within the family itself. Sharing their private struggles without consent can damage trust between you and them, creating feelings of betrayal or exposure. Families often have unspoken agreements about what stays within the home, and breaking that can create unnecessary conflict. Choosing yourself in this scenario means valuing those bonds enough to handle them with care, even if certain aspects have been difficult or painful for you personally. Guarding your family's personal matters also prevents unnecessary emotional weight from being added to a new relationship too early. If you unload deep family problems before a strong connection is formed, the other person might feel pressured to offer solutions, take sides, or become emotionally involved in something they do not fully understand. This can create an imbalance in the relationship, where instead of focusing on building a healthy connection between the two of you, energy gets diverted toward managing complex family dynamics. Choosing yourself means you decide the pace at which someone gets access to deeper layers of your life. Just as you would not hand over your personal passwords to a stranger, You should not hand over the intimate struggles of your loved ones without careful thought. Over time, if the relationship proves to be safe, stable, and grounded in mutual respect, you may choose to open up more. But until then, protecting those details allows you to maintain healthy boundaries and emotional clarity. Guarding family matters is also a way of showing loyalty. Even if your relationship with certain family members is strained, keeping their private lives out of casual conversation demonstrates that you honor the connection you share with them. It reflects the understanding that your story is intertwined with theirs, and revealing their vulnerabilities also reveals parts of your own history. Choosing yourself in this case means taking responsibility for how your words can affect others and refusing to exploit personal stories for sympathy or connection. In some cases, protecting your family's privacy can also protect you from being judged unfairly. People sometimes project the behaviors or problems of your family members onto you, assuming you are the same simply because of shared blood. By keeping those matters private, you give yourself the space to be seen for your own choices, actions, and values, rather than being defined by someone else's mistakes or struggles. There is also a protective element for the relationship itself. Early on, heavy disclosures about family issues can make things feel emotionally intense before a foundation of trust and commitment exists. This intensity can cloud judgment, accelerate emotional attachment for the wrong reasons, or even cause someone to pull away if they feel the situation is too complicated. Choosing yourself means understanding that not all truths need to be shared immediately, and that pacing disclosures can lead to a healthier, more sustainable bond. When you guard your family's personal issues, you are practicing discernment, loyalty, and self-respect all at once. You acknowledge that the people closest to you have entrusted you, even silently, with parts of their lives that require discretion. You honor that trust by ensuring that any sharing of those matters is done only when it is necessary, purposeful, and safe. This approach keeps relationships, both with your family and with new connections, free from unnecessary tension and rooted in mutual respect. Keeping big plans to yourself until they're real when you choose yourself means recognizing the power of protecting your goals from premature exposure. Ambitions, dreams, and important projects often require a safe, private space to grow before they can withstand the influence of other people's opinions, doubts, or expectations. Choosing yourself in this context means valuing your vision enough to shield it from external interference until it is strong enough to stand on its own. When you share a big plan too early, you open the door for others to inject their skepticism, fear, or unsolicited advice into it. Even well-meaning people may question your ability, offer negative scenarios, or point out obstacles you have already considered. These reactions can unintentionally dampen your motivation, plant seeds of self-doubt, or cause you to lose momentum. By keeping your plans private, you preserve the clarity and excitement that inspired them in the first place. Choosing yourself here means putting your focus on building rather than defending your dreams. There is also a psychological aspect to consider. Talking about your goals can create a false sense of accomplishment, as if the act of speaking about them is progress in itself. This can reduce the urgency to take action. By keeping your plans to yourself, you maintain the internal drive to work quietly and consistently toward them. The energy that might have been spent explaining, justifying, or persuading others can instead be directed toward tangible progress. Choosing yourself means prioritizing action over approval. Protecting your plans also safeguards them from those who might not have your best interests at heart. Not everyone will be happy to see you succeed. Some people may subtly discourage you, compete with you, or even try to take credit for your ideas. By limiting who knows your intentions, you reduce the risk of interference, imitation, or sabotage. Choosing yourself in this way is an act of self-preservation and strategic thinking, ensuring that your vision remains under your control until it is ready to be shared. Keeping your plans private does not mean working in complete isolation. It means carefully selecting who, if anyone, you share them with during the early stages. Trusted mentors, collaborators, or supportive friends can offer valuable insight without undermining your confidence. Choosing yourself means setting the standard for these conversations, sharing only with those who have earned your trust and demonstrated that they respect your boundaries and believe in your potential. There is also a practical benefit to keeping plans quiet until they are real. Plans often evolve as you work on them. The version you start with may change significantly before it becomes a reality. By holding them close, you give yourself the freedom to adapt, experiment, and refine without the pressure of living up to a publicly declared commitment. This flexibility can be the difference between abandoning an idea and successfully bringing it to life. Another reason this principle aligns with choosing yourself is that it reinforces independence. When you wait to reveal your plans until they are in motion or complete, you show yourself that you are capable of following through without external validation. This builds self-trust, a critical component of personal growth. You learn to rely on your own judgment and to measure your success by your actions rather than by other people's reactions. Timing is essential in revealing big plans. The right time is usually when your idea has reached a stage where it can be clearly demonstrated, measured, or experienced. At that point, criticism or doubt is less likely to derail your efforts because you have already built a strong foundation. Choosing yourself means having the patience to wait for that moment instead of rushing to announce something before it is ready. Keeping big plans to yourself until they're real also adds a sense of satisfaction when you do share them. There is a unique pride in unveiling something you have been quietly working on, showing the results instead of just the intention. This approach not only commands more respect from others, but also ensures that you are recognized for your work rather than just your words. When you choose yourself by protecting your plans, you are making a statement about the value of your dreams. You are acknowledging that they deserve a safe space to grow, free from premature judgment and interference. This creates a powerful environment for focus, creativity, and execution, allowing you to bring your vision to life on your own terms.